I asked ChatGPT to help me write an email to a potential client. It gave me something so generic, I couldn't even tell what industry I was in. So I tried again. Different prompt, same problem. Generic, robotic, completely useless. Here's what I didn't know. ChatGPT is designed to forget you. Every conversation starts from zero, unless you change specific settings that most people don't even know exist. In this video, I'm going to show you what makes ChatGPT actually understand you. Not just respond to your prompts, but remember your context, adapt to your style, and give you responses that feel like they came from someone who knows your work. I'm not going to walk you through every setting. But by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what needs to change and why it matters. Here's the truth most people don't realize. ChatGPT doesn't remember you by default. Every time you start a new conversation, it's like meeting a stranger. It doesn't know what you do for work, how you like to communicate, what projects you're working on, what kind of responses actually help you. It's not broken. It's just not set up to know you yet. Think about it. If you hired an assistant and every morning they forgot who you were, what you worked on, and how you liked things done, you'd fire them, right? That's exactly what's happening with ChatGPT. Except most people don't realize there are settings that fix this. Let me show you what I mean with a real example. Before example, generic response. I asked ChatGPT, help me write a LinkedIn post about AI customization. Here's what it gave me. AI customization is transforming how we work. By personalizing AI tools to fit your needs, you can boost productivity and achieve better results. What are your thoughts on AI customization? Share in the comments. Generic, corporate. Sounds like every other AI-generated LinkedIn post you've ever seen. After example, customized response. Now here's the same request after I customized ChatGPT. Most people treat ChatGPT like a search engine. Type a question, get an answer, start over. But what if it actually remembered your work, your style, your goals? That's what customization does. It transforms ChatGPT from a tool you use into a co-partner that understands you. The difference? One gives you generic responses. The other gives you responses that sound like you. See the difference? The second one has personality. It has my voice. It references concepts I actually care about. That's what happens when ChatGPT is set up to understand you. So what actually needs to change? There are 3 things ChatGPT needs to know about you to stop giving generic responses. I'm going to explain what each one does and why it matters, but I'm not going to show you how to configure them. That's what my AI co-partner starter guide is for. For now, I just want you to understand the concept. Thing number 1, who you are, your context. ChatGPT needs to know your professional context, not just your job title, your actual work. What does that mean? What industry are you in? What kind of projects do you work on? What are your goals? Who is your audience? Without this, every response starts from zero. ChatGPT has to guess what you need based only on your prompt. Example, work context. Let's say I ask, help me plan content for next week. Generic response, no context. Sure, here are some content ideas. 1. Share industry news. 2. Post a motivational quote. 3. Create a how-to guide. 4. Share a customer testimonial. Useless, right? It's guessing. Customized response with context. For next week's YouTube content, let's focus on your 90-day niche commitment. Video 1 could cover why ChatGPT forgets you, targeting the keyword ChatGPT memory. Video 2 could demonstrate before, after customization examples. Both align with your educational angle, teaching what customization does without revealing how. That's the power of context. ChatGPT isn't guessing anymore. it's working with you. Thing number 2, how you communicate, your style. ChatGPT needs to know how you like to communicate. Do you want short, punchy responses or detailed explanations? Formal tone or conversational? Bullet points or paragraphs? Technical language or plain English? Without this, ChatGPT defaults to corporate speak. That robotic, overly formal tone that sounds like every other AI response. Example: communication style. I ask, explain AI customization. Generic response: no style guidance. AI customization refers to the process of configuring artificial intelligence systems to align with individual user preferences and requirements, thereby enhancing user experience and operational efficiency. Sounds like a textbook, right? Customized response with style guidance. AI customization means setting up ChatGPT so it knows you, your work, your style, your goals. Instead of starting every conversation from scratch, it remembers your context and adapts its responses. Think of it like the difference between talking to a stranger versus talking to a coworker who's been on your team for months. Same concept, completely different delivery. One sounds like a robot, the other sounds human. Thing number 3, what you're working toward, your goals. ChatGPT needs to know what you're trying to achieve. Are you building a YouTube channel, writing a book, growing a business, learning a new skill? When ChatGPT knows your goals, it can prioritize what matters and filter out what doesn't. Example: goal alignment. I ask, should I post this video on Tuesday or Thursday? Generic response: no goals. Both days are good for posting. Tuesday tends to have high engagement, while Thursday works well for end-of-week content. Test both and see what works for your audience. Not helpful. It's hedging. Customized response with goals. Post on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Your 90-day plan commits to Tuesdays and Thursdays, and your Western audience, US/UK/Canada, is most active during that window. Consistency matters more than testing right now. Stick to the schedule. See the difference? One gives you options. The other gives you a decision based on your specific situation. Here's the bottom line. ChatGPT isn't psychic. It can't read your mind. But when you give it these 3 things, your context, your style, and your goals, it stops guessing and starts working like a co-partner who actually understands you. Now, I'm not going to walk you through how to configure these settings in this video. That's not what this is about. What I wanted you to understand is what makes ChatGPT actually work for you instead of against you. The 3 things I just explained, setting them up takes about 15 minutes. But figuring out what to configure and why it matters took me months of trial and error. That's why I created the AI Co-Partner Guide. It walks you through exactly how to set up ChatGPT so it understands your context, adapts to your style, and aligns with your goals. You'll get the exact settings to configure and why each one matters. My customization templates can be adapted to your work. Before and after examples showing what good customization looks like. Troubleshooting guidance for common setup issues. If you're tired of generic AI responses and you're ready to transform how ChatGPT works for you, the link to the starter guide is in the description. But whether you grab the guide or not, here's what I want you to remember. ChatGPT isn't broken. It's just not customized yet. Most people keep writing better prompts, trying new approaches, and wondering why the responses still feel generic. Now you know why. ChatGPT doesn't remember you by default. But when you give it your context, your style, and your goals, everything changes. Here's your homework. Open ChatGPT right now and ask it, "What do you know about me?" Drop your answer in the comments. I'm betting most of you will get a blank response. And that's exactly the problem we're solving. And if you want to stop getting generic responses and start building an AI co-partner that actually understands your work, check out the AI co-partner guide in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.